I need to make the point that the views I'm about to express have got nothing to do with politics or partisanship. Because the issue of compulsory vaccination for me is an issue of health, is an issue of life. And so goes beyond partisanship and petty politics. I know many people in the NDC who disagree with my views on this matter. And I also know many people in the party who agree with my views.
Okay.
I know many people in the NPP who disagree with my views. And I know some people in the NPP who agree with my views. And some of them have called me to encourage me. So this matter goes beyond partisanship. And so it is important that we look at it with a high sense of objectivity.
Yeah.
We look at it from a standpoint of facts, evidence, logic, and common sense. It is not about partisanship. Now, even though you have already summarized my position, for emphasis, let me repeat that I, sitting here as a lawyer, as a citizen of Ghana, I am not and have never advocated against COVID-19 vaccinations. I've been coming on this show for a long time since COVID struck. Have you ever heard me telling people not to be vaccinated? Have you ever heard me preaching against COVID-19 vaccines? No.
So what happened?
Come in. So I am not against COVID-19 vaccinations. What I am against is compulsory COVID-19 vaccinations. And I'm going to explain why I'm against that. And I owe nobody an explanation, not an explanation per se, but an apology.
An apology.
Okay,
Better.
for not agreeing to compulsory vaccination. In fact, if you look at people who do not agree with compulsory vaccination all across the world, you will realize that I'm very good company, and I will demonstrate that to you. Now, you see, we must first of all understand that Ghana is a constitutional democracy, and we are governed by the rule of law. Without the law, there is no democracy. Without the law, we don't have a country. I am against compulsory vaccination because, number one, it is against the laws of this country. Some have suggested that when it comes to public health or public health emergencies, human rights don't matter. And that public health emergencies override individual rights. Override individual rights. That's what some have argued.
Yeah.
That position is very illiterate and is not supported by any law. Because the Constitution of Ghana, the framers of the Constitution of Ghana were mindful of emergencies and the tendency of leaders or public officials to abuse their powers. And so because they did not want to produce democratic or constitutional tyrants and despots, they provided for how emergency powers can be exercised in the Constitution. They provided for how human rights can be restricted even under emergencies, and even for public health, safety, or defense considerations. Are you getting me? So you cannot say that because there is a public health emergency, no Ghanaian should eat, or no Ghanaian should drink water. Even though there is a public health emergency, you are not given the power to make that decision. And in fact, even under the most severe, the most serious of all emergencies, which we call a proclamation of state of emergency, powers given to the president under Article 31 of the Constitution. The Constitution is clear on how that state of emergency can be declared, how that state of emergency can remain in force, and the kind of powers the president can exercise under a state of emergency. His powers are not at large. He cannot turn a man into a woman. He cannot tell Ghanaians not to drink water under a state of emergency. And he cannot violate the Constitution and all human rights because he has declared a state of emergency. Anybody listening to me can pick a constitution, go to Article 31, which provides for state of emergency, or read the Emergency Powers Act of Ghana, 1994, I believe, and you will realize that there are strict provisions. First of all, even under a state of emergency, the president must make a proclamation on the advice of the Council of States. Without the advice, he can't declare state of emergency. When he declares a state of emergency, he must immediately put the circumstances and the reasons that have necessitated that state of emergency before Parliament. And Parliament must, within 72 hours, approve that state of emergency. The Constitution goes on to say that after Parliament approves it, the state of emergency remains in force for only 7 days. And after 7 days, Parliament will have to decide on extending that state of emergency. And even when the state of emergency is extended, it has specific durations. And within a state of emergency, the president is restricted as to what he can do and what he cannot do, even in a state of emergency. Now, we are not in a state of emergency. And you understand? And yet people are arguing that the president has the powers, because of public health or public health emergency, to do anything and everything he wants. Who told them that? And what law says that? So that position is neither here nor there. In fact, it is a very uninformed, very illiterate position. Okay. Now, what has brought us here? What has brought us here is an order or a directive by the Ghana Airport Company and the Ghana Health Service to the effect that effective yesterday, 14th December, all persons traveling into Ghana, all persons, including citizens of Ghana, will have to provide evidence of full vaccination at the Kotoka International Airport, lest they will not be allowed to even embark on the journey to Ghana. So proof of full vaccination will be confirmed at the point of embarkation, whether you are a citizen or not. That is a directive. And that if you are a Ghanaian and you decide to travel back to Ghana from outside the country within the next 2 weeks, the next 14 days, effective yesterday, you can come without evidence of full vaccination. But upon arrival at the airport, you will be forced to take the vaccine.
Yeah.
That is the directive. Lest you cannot enter. Then what even makes it intriguing is that the directive says that no person, including foreigners, can travel outside Ghana if they are not vaccinated. No person can travel outside Ghana if they are not fully vaccinated, including foreigners. Now, it is this directive that some of us have said is unconstitutional and unlawful for these reasons. Number one, Article 12(1) of the 1992 Constitution enjoins the executive, that's the president and his appointees, the legislature, our representatives in parliament, the judiciary, and all organs of state, their agencies, all natural and legal persons to respect the fundamental human rights provided under Chapter 5 of the 1992 Constitution. That is the Article 12(1). Again, when you look at Article 21, Clause 1G, it gives all persons the freedom of movement, which freedom means three things: the freedom to enter Ghana, the freedom to leave Ghana, or the freedom to move within Ghana, and the freedom to move within Ghana. So freedom of movement is in three forms. But you see, this human right is not absolute. It is subject to restrictions and can be restricted. But the Constitution has explicitly provided for how it can be restricted. Which aspect of this human right can be restricted? Are you getting me? And those restrictions are provided for under Article 21(4) of the 1992 Constitution. And Article 21(4) says that nothing in or done under the authority of a law, meaning a law, can impose restrictions on this freedom of movement. shall be held to be inconsistent with or in contravention of this article to the extent that the law in question makes provision for the imposition of restrictions by an order of a court. Then he explain it to you. An order of a court, A and B are all about orders of the court, okay? Then when you come to C, it says that restrictions can be imposed on this freedom of movement. Let me read that to you. For the imposition of restrictions that are reasonably required in the interest of defense, public safety, public health, or the running of essential services on the movement or residence within Ghana, underline within Ghana, of any person or persons generally, or any class of persons. So all persons, including citizens, your freedom, your right to movement can be restricted within Ghana. That is why when the president issued directives of a lockdown, nobody said it was unconstitutional. Because that is a restriction of freedom of movement within Ghana or residence within Ghana. He is allowed to do that under Article 21(4)(c). Then you come to D. It says, for the imposition of restrictions on the freedom of entry into Ghana, or movement in Ghana of a person who is not a citizen of Ghana. So when it comes to the entry of persons into Ghana, it says only non-citizens' right of entry into Ghana can be restricted. There is no provision here that says that a citizen, a bona fide citizen of Ghana, coming into his own country can be restricted because he is not fully vaccinated. There is no such provision in this constitution. Again, Annie, there is no restriction or no provision for the restriction of the right of people to leave Ghana. Are you getting me? If I want to travel outside Ghana, it is not the business of Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, His Excellency,
to determine.
If I want to travel from Ghana, whether I'm a citizen or not, it is not the business of Ghana. Because I am going into a jurisdiction they have no control over. They have no power over. Let's subject this to common sense. I'm a citizen of Nigeria in Ghana. Nigeria has not adopted compulsory vaccination. I'm a citizen of South Africa in Ghana. South Africa, the president of South Africa, Cyril Ramaphosa, says he will not force any South African to take a COVID vaccine. So there is no compulsory vaccination in South Africa.
And he will actually will allow movement.
Movement. He says he will not restrict your right. He won't punish you. There will not be any impediment. It is your choice to decide. That is Cyril Ramaphosa. He is not an anti-vaxxer. He is a pro-vaxxer, fully vaccinated. Yet he says he will not force others to take. So I'm a South African. I want to go to my country, South Africa. President Akufo-Addo says, no, I will not allow you to go.
Because you haven't vaccinated.
Am I going to your country? Is he the president of South Africa? Does he have any power over the jurisdiction of South Africa? Am I a citizen of his country? For him to say that even though I am leaving his country, Ghana, to another country, if I'm not vaccinated, I can't go. Even though the country I am going to doesn't enforce compulsory vaccination. Does this make sense? Yesterday in his address, he said that they are introducing this compulsory vaccination at the airport for all travelers coming into the country because of the risk of the importation of the Omicron variant. So if it is true that your fear is about the importation of this virus, then you will be talking about entry. What has that got to do with those living Ghana? Are you concerned about the exportation of the virus into a country who have decided not to forcefully vaccinate people, including their citizens? So number one, this constitution doesn't give anybody, including the president, the Ghana Health Service, the Ghana Airport Company, the right to prevent a citizen of Ghana from entering Ghana because he's not vaccinated. They cannot impose any restrictions on the freedom of entry into Ghana of a citizen. Again, they cannot impose any restriction on the freedom of all persons, including citizens of Ghana and foreigners, from traveling from Ghana. He has no such power, either under our own local laws or under international law. Now, you remember that when COVID struck, on 12 March 2020 was when we recorded our first 2 cases, you remember?
Yeah.
Why didn't the president just wake up and close the borders of Ghana? Why didn't he just wake up and impose lockdowns? Because the laws don't allow him to do that. So you know what he did? He went to Parliament for Parliament to pass a law called Imposition of Restrictions Act. Because this Article 21 says, even with these restrictions on movement within Ghana, which must be reasonable, you can only impose those restrictions by a law. So the president could not do so by a fiat.
Yeah.
So he went to Parliament, and Parliament passed what is called Imposition of Restrictions Act 2020, Act 1012. And that act, at Section 2, Clause 1, says that it is only the exceptions provided for under Article 21, Clause 4C, D, and E that the president can impose. So that act passed by our representatives in Parliament have given the president restricted powers. That it is only these restrictions, imposition of restrictions on movement or residence within Ghana, or the entry of foreigners into Ghana, and E, the one that you can impose. Anybody listening to me, Google Imposition of Restrictions Act, Section 2.1. Even when that law was passed, and our airport was closed, because at the time we did not have the mechanism of rapid antigen test to rapidly determine the COVID status of people coming into Ghana. Citizens were not disallowed from coming to Ghana. Jets, airplanes were sent across the world to bring citizens of Ghana who desired to come to Ghana into Ghana. Am I lying? That was when we didn't have a testing regime, a rapid antigen test regime at the airport. Even then, when the COVID had been declared as a pandemic, citizens were not disallowed from coming into the country. They came.
Can we just take it that maybe by the coming in of the disease, we are now experiencing how it works with us, and so we're learning new things almost on the daily basis.
We know how it works
So
with
we are
us, because according to our president, for almost a month, there are 4 regions in Ghana which have not recorded even one positive case. We know how it works, and that is why we know that even in the last 2 years, COVID has only infected just about 132,000 Ghanaians with less than 1,300 deaths. And that malaria killed over 19,000 people in 2017 alone. And even in Ghana today, there are more diseases with higher fatalities than this. Nobody is saying COVID is not real. Nobody is saying it should be underestimated. But I'm saying that even if COVID has a 100% fatality rate, the president cannot disallow citizens from entering their own countries because they will not allow themselves to be injected by a vaccine. Are you getting me? And he cannot allow persons, including foreigners, from traveling into their own countries because they will not be vaccinated. That has never happened in the history of constitutional democracy anywhere in the world. And as we speak, no country in the world, I have done my checks the whole of last night, no country in the world has made this directive, has done this. No country in the world, not one. Look, I just went to the website of the U.S. Embassy, which has recorded, the U.S. has recorded 50.3 million positive cases. 50.3 million positive cases. Ghana has recorded 132,000. The number of people who have died in U.S. of COVID-19 is 801,000. Ghana, 1,200 and something, 53 or so. Now listen to what the U.S. is saying. I wonder if Joe Biden is also an anti-vaxxer or he's also reckless like Sammy Jemfi. But listen to what the U.S. Embassy is saying on their website. Anybody can go and read. Who must be vaccinated to travel to the United States? If you are a non-U.S. citizen, non-U.S. immigrant, you must be fully vaccinated to travel to the United States by plane. Only limited exceptions apply. The vaccination requirement does not apply to U.S. citizens, U.S. nationals, lawful permanent residents, that is green card holders, or travelers to United States on an immigrant visa. This is the U.S. Are they also reckless like Sammy Jemfi? Are they also anti-vaxxers? Now UK, who have also recorded 11 million positive cases, with 147,000 deaths. Only yesterday, this is what the UK Prime Minister and the Health Minister have said. UK says there will be no compulsory vaccination. As for them, they say they will not do it. Listen to what the Prime Minister said. Britain's government will not force people to have vaccinations against COVID-19. Prime Minister Boris Johnson said on Monday, there will be no compulsory vaccination. This is a quote. That's not the way we do things in this country, Johnson told a news conference. Is President Akufo-Addo pro-vaccine for vaccination than Boris Johnson? Is he? I don't even understand. UK is not doing it. US is not doing it. South Africa says they won't do it, even though they have. South Africa has recorded 3.1 million cases of COVID-19 with over 90,000 deaths. No country in Africa or the world, I've checked Germany, go on CNN's website and check all the restrictions issued by countries. No country is saying we will not allow our citizens to come into our country because they are not fully vaccinated. I dare somebody to show me one example. That is how absurd, unreasonable, that is how unlawful, unthinkable this decision is. But enough of the legalities, because people know the law. They understand English. They can read these laws. But because they are fully vaccinated, they are insisting that everybody should be vaccinated. As if God didn't give us heads, but rather gave them head to think for us. In such a way that they can impose their preferences on us. They can impose their timidity and their fears on us. You say you have taken the vaccine because it is sensible to do so than to die. I am not afraid to die. Why should I be forced to do what you have done? Are you more intelligent or wiser than me? Are you more human than me? Look, it has been proven by Boris Johnson has said so. Dr. Fauci, the #1 advocate of COVID-19 vaccines, has also said so. And there are a lot of studies that have confirmed that #1, the vaccine doesn't prevent you from getting the virus. Don't we know? Cyril Ramaphosa was fully vaccinated. He came to Ghana and got COVID-19. And there are thousands and thousands of that example.
He got it here?
I don't know where he got it, but he was tested,
Ghana,
he tested positive after he returned from Ghana. Yes.
But he didn't get it in Ghana.
I don't know where he got it.
But you
I can't say that for sure. I'm saying he tested positive.
But not in
after
Ghana.
he left here.
Not in Ghana.
Dog, do you know where he got it?
But he didn't get it.
Yeah, so we don't know that, but we know that he got it after he came here. So even though he's fully vaccinated. And Dr. Fauci has said that even when you get infected as a fully vaccinated people, you can be severely ill, you can be hospitalized, and you can die. Boris Johnson has said the same thing. The World Health Organization has said the same thing. The CDC of America, who are all pro-COVID-19 vaccination, have all said the same thing. So this is not like a polio vaccine, which is highly preventive. It doesn't prevent you. It doesn't prevent you from. So why then do you say that if you don't take it, you infect somebody? Those who don't take it also infect other people. And the evidence, the scientific evidence shows that those who are fully vaccinated spread COVID-19 more than those who are not fully vaccinated. Annie, let me show you this publication by Lancet Europe Regional Health Group, published on 1st December 2021. Anybody should Google. Read about Lancet. They are one of the oldest and the reputable medical agencies in the world. They did this scientific study, and they are saying the epidemiological relevance of COVID-19 vaccinated population is increasing. What are they saying? They are saying, let me read relevant portions to you. High COVID-19 vaccination rates were expected to reduce transmission of COVID-19 in populations by reducing the number of possible sources of the transmission, thereby reducing the burden of COVID-19 disease. Recent data, however, indicate that epidemiological relevance of COVID-19 vaccinated individuals is increasing. In the UK, it was described that secondary attack rates among household contacts exposed to fully vaccinated index cases was 25% for vaccinated and 23% for unvaccinated. So according to them, in the UK, based on their studies, the vaccinated people spread COVID-19 when they get reinfected, what is called breakthrough infection, by a 25% rate, whereas unvaccinated do that by 23%. Then they say 12 of 31 infections in fully vaccinated households arose from fully vaccinated linked index cases. peak viral load did not differ by vaccination status or variant type. Then they come and tell you, they give you Israel, they give you Germany, and scientific evidence. These are not lawyers or footballers or tomato sellers. These are scientists telling you that they are in the laboratory doing tests and studies, and that they are seeing that in UK, in Israel and all that, vaccinated people are spreading COVID-19 more than unvaccinated. It is not my report. Because how come that in the US, the first case of Omicron was found in a fully vaccinated person? In South Africa, a fully vaccinated person. And majority of all early cases, Reuters has published it. You see, people are not doing their own studies and research. They have decided to believe everything they are told hook, line, and sinker. That is your own right. You are entitled to that. But I was given a head and a brain, and my mother took me to school to read and write, to learn how to read and write. And so, if I am told something, by my training as a lawyer, I process it and I ask questions and I research. And so, if I am asking questions, you can't tell me why am I asking questions. Your head is not my head. You don't decide for me. This is another report published by a US government agency, National Center for Biotechnology Information, which is under the US Medical Library, and which has published this study. This is a US government agency, like the Ghana Health Service in Ghana, saying that at the country level, there appears to be no discernible relationship between percentage of population vaccinated and new COVID-19 cases in the last 7 days. They did this research for 7 days. In fact, the trend line suggests a marginally positive association such that countries with a higher percentage of fully vaccinated have higher COVID-19 cases per 1 million people. Notably, Israel, with 60% of their population fully vaccinated, had the highest COVID-19 cases per 1 million in the last 7 days. The lack of meaningful association between percentage fully vaccinated and new COVID-19 cases is further exemplified, for instance, by comparison of Iceland and Portugal. Both countries have over 75% of their population fully vaccinated and have more COVID-19 cases per 1 million. We, Ghana, less than 3 million people are vaccinated. How many COVID cases do we have? Regions are recording 0. Israel has 60% vaccination rate. Iceland, 75. Portugal, 75. They are rather dying more of COVID-19. Then you say that you that have done so well with the therapeutics, with treatments, with precautionary protocols, safety protocols, and not vaccination, you will go and copy the examples of those who have vaccinated more and are dying and getting more infections. What is the sense in that? You know, when you talk about the law not allowing for compulsory vaccination, our friends who disagree with us go to the Public Health Act. So let me deal with that quickly. And then they say that according to the Public Health Act, there can be compulsory vaccination. I wonder how they read their own law. So today I brought that law here, and anybody can read it, because I don't know how they read their own law. Annie, per section 22 of the Public Health Act, yes, it provides for compulsory vaccination, but listen to what it says. The minister may, by executive instrument, generally or without reference to a particular district or area, blah, 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 order the persons to whom the instrument applies, who do not produce satisfactory evidence of successful vaccination, to be vaccinated by a public vaccinator. Unless, in the opinion of the public vaccinator, the vaccination will be injurious to health. Is that not an exception? Number one, has the Minister of Health, Dr. Kwaku Agyeman-Manu, issued any executive instruments ordering compulsory vaccination? No. So why would they even quote this law? If President Akufo-Addo cannot impose restrictions without an EI, Kwaku Agyeman-Manu can do it without an EI. Or the Ghana Health Service can do it without an EI. Number two, even when he issues the EI, the law says where it will be injurious to health, you cannot force people. Yes, that determination is made by the public vaccinator, but you know of Article 296, which says that where discretionary powers are vested in you, same must be exercised candidly and fairly, and not whimsically and capriciously. Again, Annie, this law which talks about public vaccination, compulsory vaccination, and even the power of entry for vaccination, it says that a public vaccinator can come to your house and forcefully vaccinate you between the hours of 6 a.m. and 6 p.m. has provided, and that also has an exception. It says where, and let me read that to you. It says, a public vaccinator, section 25 of the Public Health Act, and may enter a house, a yard, a compound, vaccinate persons unless satisfied that the person is already successfully vaccinated or otherwise has natural immunity to the disease, natural immunity, or unless the vaccination will be injurious to health. So even then, it is not a carte blanche.
Yeah.
There are restrictions, there are exceptions. Then, this law, Public Health Act, has provided for the punishments, the penalty for refusing to obey an order of compulsory vaccination, even when an executive instrument is issued. Section 30. It says that, Minister, you have the power to issue an executive instrument and forcefully vaccinate people. But if they choose not to be vaccinated, this is what you can do to punish them. 30. A person who fails to comply with a provision of this part or a legislative instrument made under this part commits an offense and is liable on summary conviction to a fine of not more than 50 penalty units and so on. Where in the penalties for non-compliance for compulsory vaccination does it say that you can disallow a citizen from entering his own country? Where in these penalties does it say that you can disallow a foreigner from traveling into his own country where there is no compulsory vaccination, like Nigeria, like Togo, like Benin, or South Africa? Again, in this law, Public Health Act, people should read it well and stop misinforming the public. Section 169 talks about the powers of the health minister to declare a health emergency in Ghana. Are you listening to me? He says, the minister shall declare a public health emergency by executive instrument where there is a situation that poses an immediate risk to health, life, so your life, property, and the environment. You can declare health emergency. But 170.
What section is that?
Section 169 of the Public Health Act.
Okay.
But Section 170 then follows to give the health minister his emergency powers when he declares a public health emergency. Because they don't want people to abuse the rights of people by acts. Ministers who say that when they are signing procurement agreements for the purchase of vaccines, they don't think. Ministers who say that when he was signing the agreement for Sputnik V vaccines, he was not thinking. These are the ministers you want to live your life by their dictates. But listen, 170 says, the minister shall direct a public health official to respond immediately to a public health emergency and may order an individual to take preventive measures or be quarantined. So if you order a citizen to take a certain measure under a public health emergency and he doesn't do it, you can only quarantine the person. Like other countries are doing. You can't say you can't come into your own country or you can't travel outside Ghana. Where in this law is he giving that power? Do you know what makes it worse? What makes this unreasonable and painful?
So we can take a break.
Because we'll come back and I'll add more because there are still more. What is worse is that to lure and deceive people into taking it. Because I will tell you this, Annie, the only reason why President Akufo-Addo has imposed this order and government has done this is not because of public health.
It's because of what?
It's because of the love of money. They have been given, yesterday he himself announced, that he's been given $83 million by the European Investment Bank. Go and check the conditionalities of that money. The conditionalities, he's not a man of his own like Boris Johnson and Cyril Ramaphosa or President Biden. He has been given that money, and the conditionalities that force everybody to take the vaccine, including foreigners leaving your country. Either than that, why will you force somebody leaving your country to take a vaccine? Is he your national? Is he going to your country? Does President Akufo-Addo have power in South Africa, Nigeria, and the countries surrounding us to order their nationals to be vaccinated unless they can't go to their own countries?
Okay.
But this is the point I wanted to make. To lure and deceive people to take the vaccines. Both the Ghana Health Service and the Ghana Airport Company, in their directives, which I am holding here, have lied that the Food and Drugs Authority has registered and approved the 5 vaccines, Pfizer, AstraZeneca, Moderna, Sputnik V, Johnson & Johnson. They have registered and approved it. And so people should go and take. That is a lie they will pay for one day. Because you know what? This is coming from the website of the FDA. I printed it this morning. Anybody watching me, go on the FDA's own website. This publication is dated 28th October 2021. They published another one just a few days ago, 11th December 2021, just 4 days ago. And they are saying that those vaccines have not been registered or approved in line with Section 118 of the FDA, of the Public Health Act. Because you know that in Ghana, before you can distribute drugs, they must be registered. They have not been registered. And that what they have given is emergency use authorization, which is not the same as approval of registration. These documents here are the two guidelines, the only two guidelines the FDA of Ghana has issued on emergency use authorization. One was issued on 15th March 2019 when COVID first struck. One was issued on 5th February 2021 this year. And if you check page 16, paragraph 4.2c of their own guidelines, they say that none of the vaccines have been approved. They have been given emergency use authorization, which means we are in an emergency. There is no drug for treating a particular disease. A drug has been developed. From the limited data we have cause to believe that the known and potential benefits of the drug outweigh the known and potential, that means unknown risk. They believe so. And so because we are in an emergency, you can take the drug, but we have not registered it. Why? Because we are not done with our studies and our investigations. And so we cannot register it because we cannot conclusively say that the drug is efficacious and safe. And that is why when you come to paragraph 16, page 16, paragraph 4.2 of the latest guidelines, this is what the FDA says on whether or not you can force somebody to take a drug like Pfizer and these COVID-19 vaccines, which have only been given emergency use authorization, which is temporary. This is what they say. This is not Samigenfi. This is FDA of Ghana. FDA recommends, because they talk about, although they say if before you give the emergency use authorization vaccines to people, they should be given information about it. So they say the FDA recommends that recipients be given as much appropriate information as possible given the nature of the emergency and the conditions of the authorization. For healthcare provider carrying out any activity concerning an emergency use authorization, recipients, and listen, this is English, recipients must be informed that the FDA CEO has authorized emergency use of the medical product and has evaluated the potential benefit and risk of the medical product. Recipients must have an opportunity to accept or refuse the emergency use product. Accept or reject. Can't people read this? And must be informed of any consequences of refusing the administration of the product. Now listen. Recipients also must be informed of available alternatives to the product and of their risk and benefits. The Ghana Health Service doesn't approve vaccines. The Ghana Airport Company doesn't approve vaccines. It is the FDA that approves vaccines and approve the use of vaccines. They are saying that nobody should be forced to take a vaccine that has only been given emergency use authorization. And you are sitting in the confines of your home. Because you have already been vaccinated, you are saying everybody should be vaccinated. When those directives fly in the face of the FDA's own guidelines, is the FDA of Ghana reckless like Samigenfi? Is the FDA of Ghana unscientific like Samigenfi? Is the FDA of Ghana an anti-vax or conspiracy theorist agency? Is that their logic?
Okay.
And finally.
We have to go for a break shortly and then we'll come
finally.
Doctor.
Look, what is even sad, when you come, we'll discuss the issue about the safety. What is even sad is that your government hasn't told you that they have given all the manufacturers of these emergency authorized vaccines indemnification against any legal suits that may arise from a side effect or what is called adverse drug reactions of the vaccines. They have even indemnified them, Pfizer, Moderna, against what is called willful misconduct. What it means is that the manufacturers are saying, we are giving you the vaccines. But even before we give you, government, give us an indemnification agreement that if your citizens take this drug and they die, they cannot take us to court. If they get sick, paralyzed, and you know the number of people who have died, I will show you evidence. People who have suffered serious health complications, you can't take the manufacturer to court. If the thing is safe.
People have died from the vaccination?
Many.
From vaccinating or from catching the disease?
Many. Listen, this is, you know that scientists, because of time, scientists, 30 scientists, professors, in some of the best universities in the world, including Yale, Harvard, Oxford, in America, went to court to challenge this. The FDA of US decision to license Pfizer and asked the court to order them to produce the information they relied on to license Pfizer. Because to the scientists, the FDA of US could not have licensed Pfizer. The FDA of US demanded for 55 years before they can release that information, because they say it contains secrets that they need to redact, they need to blot out. Yet it took them 108 days to go through the same documents and license Pfizer. Now, when the court ordered Pfizer to produce those documents, they say the documents are 329 pages, 329,000 pages. They have only released the first 500 page. One of the documents is what I'm holding here, produced at the instant or upon a court order. Cumulative analysis of post-authorization adverse events. This is Pfizer's document. I will give you a photocopy. This is what they say. This is just 500 out of 329,000 pages. And they say in their own reports that within the first 90 days of giving their vaccines out, they recorded 42,086 serious adverse effects. They are saying they didn't report the unserious one. These are serious adverse effects that they are fully investigated and confirmed to be associated with the vaccine, their vaccine. And that out of that number, 1,223 people died. Was that the one who authored this report for Pfizer? Was I? Look at the report. Was I the one? And look at their methodology and what they say about their own report. Was I the one who produced it? So what is being done in Ghana has never been seen in the history of the world. Dr. Robert Malone, the man who discovered, who was one of those who developed the mRNA vaccines, has said that it doesn't make sense to forcefully vaccinate people. And that this is the first time in the history of the world that the ineffectiveness of a medicine will be blamed on people who did not take that medicine. How telling, how sad. So there are more.
But when we come back, hold on.
I will show you more
I have
on
a
this.
video, a short video of Dr. Robert Malone you mentioned, and he said a few things about vaccination. In fact, these people scare me because I have vaccinated.
And so when we come back, we will deal with the issue about, what about the yellow fever vaccination? What about seat belt? Very weird arguments. Very weird arguments
about
people say, by yellow vaccination. There is no law in Ghana that says that a citizen of Ghana coming into Ghana needs a yellow fever vaccine before he can come to Ghana. That is for foreigners. And the yellow fever vaccine doesn't have indemnification for its manufacture. The yellow fever vaccine was developed through the full stages of vaccine development. The yellow fever vaccine has very minimal adverse effects. The yellow fever vaccine is significantly 99% preventive. The COVID-19 vaccine is not preventive. Even the vaccination you are defining fully vaccinated to mean the man who has taken double dose. Boris Johnson and Israel is saying fully vaccinated, it doesn't mean that. Because even when you have taken the double dose or one dose of Johnson & Johnson, you can still get the disease. And so for them, fully vaccinated means the man who has taken the double dose and has taken boosters at least 3 months prior. So every 3 months, you need to be given a vaccine passport before you can have a job, before you can go to church, before you can go to the supermarket, before you can go to a shopping mall. Every 3 months, you need to take a booster. So when yesterday Mr. Pratt was saying that government has not said that everybody should be compulsory vaccinated, and this is just for travelers. Hello, this is how it starts in a gradualist approach. Do you know that in Ghana today, MTN is saying that if you don't get vaccinated by 1st January, you can't work in MTN? Do you know that there are government agencies that I will be publishing the list very soon who are forcing their workers to take the vaccine lest they lose their jobs? Do you know where this thing is going? Do you know what is happening in Australia when people are even being prevented from interacting with their own children because they will not take an unregistered and an unapproved vaccine that the FDA of Ghana or their countries say should not be imposed on people?
Hold on there.
Sami Jenfi started speaking against compulsory vaccination just this Monday. I think it was about the 13th of December. The stories and reports about the expiry of vaccines and the giving of these expired vaccines to people predate when I started speaking against compulsory vaccination just this week. Number two, he says that Cyril Ramaphosa did not contract COVID-19 in Ghana. Yes, we have heard you. But how does that detract from the argument I've made? The argument I made with regards to Cyril Ramaphosa's current COVID status is that the COVID-19 vaccines are not preventive. And that is why even fully vaccinated people get the disease. And I cited him as an example. That is a fact you cannot deny. Okay, so if the vaccines don't prevent you from getting the disease, or transferring the disease to another person, or being severely ill, or being hospitalized or dying, my brother, you cannot then force that on somebody. Look, this is Dr. Fauci. As for Sami Genvi, when I talk, you won't believe me, but this is Dr. Fauci.
What did you say?
Listen to him. Hospitalization rising among fully vaccinated in US, Fauci says. And this is a report published on 17th November 2021 by CBN News. And when you read it, he shows you that the figures are going up significantly. That is the #1 advocate of COVID-19 vaccines, telling you that even the fully vaccinated, who are boosted every 3 months, unlike you, are getting severely ill, being hospitalized, and are spreading the disease.
And those without are dying.
Hold on.
And they are dying.
Hold on. So that's #1. #2, he says that there are certain countries that are thinking about compulsory vaccination. Who has said certain countries are not thinking about compulsory vaccination? Is that the issue here? No country has thought about imposing compulsory vaccination restrictions on the freedom of entry of citizens.
You're not shifting.
That is what I said all along, unless you were not listening to me. Because I've told you that the president has powers to restrict movement and residence within Ghana under Article 21(4)(c). But he has no power to impose restrictions of compulsory vaccination or any restrictions whatsoever on the freedom of citizens to enter Ghana, or on the freedoms of all persons, including foreigners, of leaving Ghana. They are leaving Ghana to their countries where vaccination is not by force. That one too, you will not let them go. Are they your nationals? Do you have power in their countries? What public health threats do people who are traveling from Ghana unvaccinated to their countries pose to the Ghanaian health system? I am going to Nigeria. I'm not vaccinated. What health risk do I pose to you? For which reason my freedom to leave Ghana should be restricted. Does this make sense? Then again, he quotes Article 12(2). And he says, I should have read that. Every person in Ghana, whatever his race, place of origin, political opinion, color, religion, creed, or gender, shall be entitled to the fundamental human rights and freedoms of individuals contained in this chapter, but subject to the respect for the rights and freedoms of others and for public interest. So let's start with the first part, the rights and freedoms of others. If I am not vaccinated, which of your rights does that breach? Which right in this constitution does that breach?
It can affect my health.
So which right is
It
that?
can affect me.
When the evidence rather shows, evidence published by Lancet Europe, evidence published by the National Center for Biotechnology Information shows that the vaccinated people are the ones infecting more people. You are rather infringing on that.
That's why I
You
was
cannot
saying
use
that
a
maybe
single
it's
study
due
to make
to
a
their
conclusion.
So where is
lackadaisical-
your study that shows
That's
that?
what I'm saying,
Where
that
is,
Sami-
hold on. I can't use a single study. So where is your study that shows that unvaccinated people spread COVID more? Where is your study?
But
Have you brought any
I
study
don't
here?
have, no, I don't have any.
So you don't have?
No,
But
there
you
is
are
common
talking about
sense.
human rights.
No, there is
So
common sense. No,
what
there's
is
common sense and
sense?
intuitive.
What is common sense?
Intuitive.
Please, let me make
I'm telling you, it's
when you were
intuitive.
talking, did they allow me to intuitive?
It's intuitive and
So
common
you
sense.
are talking about law based on intuition.
But you are aware.
Please, we are talking about law. You are talking about your human rights. And you think your human rights will be violated based on intuition. The law does not concern itself with the fanciful fears or intuitions of people. That is right. So, what rights do you have that an unvaccinated person, because he's unvaccinated, breaches? It doesn't even make sense. Because if we are talking about that then, okay, so why is it that Iceland has a 75% vaccination rate, but they have more COVID cases per 1 million people than Ghana, that has less than 3% of vaccination rates? Is this not common sense to you? That the countries that are vaccinating have higher vaccination rates, Iceland, Portugal, US. I am giving you facts. You have no facts. You are talking about fanciful fears, intuition. The countries that are highly vaccinated have higher COVID infection rates. We have done so well, like you said, with that vaccination, with safety protocols, with the therapeutics, meaning treatment, as azithromycin, zinc, vitamin Z, and so on, and the new drugs that have been developed and that have been recommended for treatment. That is how we have achieved this success story in Ghana, that for a long period of time, regions have recorded 0 cases. And you want to impose a system that has failed in advanced countries on us, and you call that common sense. How common is that sense?
Right.
No, please, and please, there are a lot of things. It's 9:32, please.
No,
I beg you.
We are
I beg you, there are a lot of things.
Finishing.
Then you read article.
Sammy, we're finishing at 9:45.
Annie, I beg you.
I said we're finishing at 45. I have to give him the rest of the minutes.
Uncle Kwakubaku say lie. So I beg you. We still have time. So hold on. Then when we are talking about freedom of movement, Dr. Kisilnyaku goes to quote Article 18.1, which is about right to privacy. My brother, when we are talking about freedom of movement and restrictions on freedom of movement, you don't quote provisions that talks about right to privacy. Please, you don't quote that. And again, when you quote Section 31 about state of emergency, even under a state of emergency,
she said
he said we'll close at 9:45. It's 9:30 something.
Yeah,
so allow me to
but
make
he
my
also
point.
has to come in so quickly.
Even under a state of emergency, no power is given to the president either in the Constitution, Article 31, or the emergency powers of states, or in the Public Health Act to disallow citizens from entering Ghana on grounds of vaccination. Do you have any such law? Again,
Maybe listen to this what Kwekubaku says. He says, I believe the EI, when issued, will bring some clarity on the operationalization of the compulsory vaccination in terms of the actual specifics.
Yes.
The absence of the EI at this stage is problematic and unhelpful.
Yes, that is an objective man who believes in vaccination. And I think he even believes in compulsory vaccination. Yeah, being objective and talking about law. Are you getting here? Because you can you can only contemplate compulsory vaccination with an EI. Directives have been given without any legal basis. And people who understand law are defending it. And so the minister can do compulsory vaccination by issuing an EI that respects the exceptions provided for by the same law that gives him the right to issue the EI. And the law says the exceptions are that you can't do compulsory vaccination where it will be injurious to health. You can't do compulsory vaccination where people have natural immunity. What is your understanding? Natural immunity. Israel has proven it. Today, Harvard Medical Institute has proven that natural immunity to COVID-19 is higher than the immunity vaccines give you. Because what is
higher?
Yes.
Wow.
Harvard Medical Institute. What does that mean? It means that if somebody gets COVID-19, because the whole idea of immunization or vaccination means there is a pathogen causing a disease. We don't have medication for that. So we take the weakened form of the pathogen and inject it into you. So that your body will produce antibodies to fight it and store those antibodies. So that when the real pathogen attacks you later, the antibodies, that is the principle of vaccination. Do you understand? But somebody was not attacked by a weakened virus. He was attacked by the real virus, COVID-19. And he recovered. So his body has produced antibodies against the real coronavirus.
The natural.
And scientific studies in Israel, Netanyahu's or Israel of all places, in US, today in Michigan, health workers, where there is compulsory vaccination for health workers, in Michigan, health workers who are able to show that they have tested positive for COVID-19, and they are able to show that they have antibodies of COVID-19 in their blood, are not compulsorily vaccinated because they have natural immunity, which is better. Our law says that if somebody has natural immunity, you cannot compulsorily vaccinate the person. I got COVID-19, I have recovered. Science show that I have natural immunity stronger than the natural immunity unregistered and unapproved vaccines give me. You are saying that even though you have gotten COVID-19, recovered, you have stronger antibodies to fight the disease, we will still vaccinate you with unapproved unregistered vaccines that manufacturers are not ready to accept responsibility for which reason they've been given indemnification.
Okay, so honorable,
I'm coming.
Oh,
Dr. Kingsley Nyaku made a certain point.
You have to land
brilliant.
on this one.
Oh,
land on
Annie,
this one.
Don't do this to me. Oh.
No,
You guys are bullying me. The two vaccinated people.
Today you have bullied the two of us on
Look,
the show. Yeah.
Then he makes a very sensible point that if the directives from the Ghana Airport Company and the Ghana Health Service have even taken cognizance of, maybe some of us would not have been this pained and furious. Dr. Kingsley Nyaku, who is not even a medical doctor, knows that you can't give a vaccine, even a vaccine which is even registered and declared to be safe, you can't give it to everybody. Because in medicine, there is what is called contraindications, okay, which means medical conditions, peculiar or special medical conditions in people that can make even even a safe drug unsafe for people. So you can't go and pick a tuberculosis vaccine or a yellow fever vaccine, go and give an HIV patient, or people with high what is called immunocompromised conditions or status. You will kill the person even though the drug is good. The person is suffering from advanced diabetes. Right. You don't know his medical history. Then you have issued a statement that all persons above 18 years who reach the airport will be compulsory vaccinated. Every first-year student of law knows that the law must be certain and clear. So to the extent that all these exceptions are not even in your directives, you yourself, you are admitting that the directives are unreasonable and baseless. Because if somebody, an officer is enforcing this directive at the airport, where are the exceptions in that directive that tells him that give vaccination to people of this category, but not people with such conditions? Is there any exception in the directive for pregnant women, lactating mothers? Is there anything like that? And you are supporting this?
No, but it's obvious.
Again,
it's obvious. Something is obvious.
In law, we don't talk about what is obvious
made the point
in your mind.
You go ahead.
So, Annie, then he says that if an EI is issued, I've already explained that. Well, I support it. I will support it if the EI respects the
individuals.
The number one, the exceptions of natural immunity injurious to health provided for in the law, because that the EI cannot conflict the law. Okay.
Yeah.
Number two, I will respect it if the EI only provides for punishments or penalties stipulated in the law, and the penalties for refusing to comply with compulsory vaccination under Section 30 is a fine or an imprisonment of 3 months. Worst case scenario. The penalty for refusing to obey the order of a health minister in public health emergencies, when he orders you to respect to take certain preventive measures and you don't do it, is being quarantined. So you can quarantine Ghanaians coming to Ghana for Christmas who have decided not to be compulsorily vaccinated. So you can't refuse them access into their motherland. That is my point. Because listen, what is the sense in the fact that when they get to the airport, both the unvaccinated person and the fully vaccinated person, even boosted person, must produce, number one, a negative PCR test that they did within 72 hours of their arrival. So you must have a negative PCR test, the golden standard of your COVID status, within 72 hours of your arrival in Ghana. And even when you arrive, you must test negative in a rapid antigen test at the airport. So a fully vaccinated person comes and he tests negative. You can't come in, you'll be quarantined. An unvaccinated person comes and he tests positive. You can't come in because you are positive. Yeah. Your vaccination status will not allow you entry. I am not vaccinated. I come and do a test because when I was traveling to US and other countries few weeks ago, I did PCR in Ghana, did it in other countries, did antigen, tested negative, like citizens in Ghana. Then when I am coming into my own motherland, you say that even though your COVID status is negative, you don't pose any public health threats. You are negative for COVID-19. That is your COVID status, but we will not allow you to come into your own country. But somebody is traveling into their own country.
How about looking at the government is probably looking at protecting you.
Protecting who?
You've tested negative.
I am negative.
Yeah, so we're protecting you.
But it has been proven that the vaccine does not protect you.
100%.
Are you getting it? Okay. And I am traveling to my own country where there is no compulsory vaccination. I have tested negative. I don't pose a threat to your country because I'm leaving your country. I don't pose a threat to my country. And the president of Ghana says, I will not let you go. What law gives him that power? And finally, my sister, there are so many things, but time will not allow us. You see, the bottom line is that these issues will have to be tested in a court of competent jurisdiction.
Are you going to court?
And I know that latest Monday, that suit will be filed.
Oh.
And I have heard people say that, oh, all the judges are vaccinated, so they will throw your case away. And so what? So, because you think judges are vaccinated, you think that because of that, they will accept for pregnant women, people with serious health conditions, including their family, relatives, and children, to be forcefully vaccinated, to be forcefully boosted regularly, lest they lose their jobs, because that is where Ghana is heading to. Lest they lose their jobs. Even if they throw it away, I want posterity to remember me for one of those, as one of those who kicked against this draconian, this unconstitutional, this unreasonable decision to compulsorily inject people with vaccines that have not been registered nor approved, that the Food and Drugs Authority of Ghana, that knows better than Kingsley Nyako, Dr. Kingsley Nyako, says should not be forced on people. I am only re-echoing the views of the Food and Drugs Authority of Ghana. If that makes me an anti-vaxxer, I am in good company and I love it.
Okay.